make 'em bounce.
Skinwalkers, those who walk on all fours, Yinadalushi, shapeshifters. You have all heard of these very names before. The thing tapping on your window in the middle of the night, tormenting you in your sleep, or perhaps mimicking the voice of your friends. In today's trends, people talk of these witches, monsters lurking in the dark, but are they true? Here is one story for yours truly to decide whether this is true or false. Sent in by Anonymous. Hi, I'm 34 years old and I've been living near the outskirts of Navajo Res for a few years. About an hour's drive away from where Ghost Adventures had been doing their investigation at Skinwalker Canyon. Trust me when I say there's a reason these people like to keep their stuff under wraps. I'm part Navajo myself, but it's considered forbidden to speak of the paranormal or supernatural things like Wendigos or Skinwalkers. The people of this land believe that by speaking of these things you attract their attention and give them power by acknowledging their existence. And honestly, after living where I have lived for the past few years, I couldn't agree more. The reason I'm telling you this is so that others out there may learn from my mistakes. Firstly, I want to start by saying this is nothing like messing with a child's toy or Ouija board. It's the real deal. We have a pretty open property out here, perfect for raising a couple of horses. Or so we thought. You see, one night about 3 years back, my grandma spoke of a monster, one she could not name. She spoke of a human that could turn into a wolf, coyote, or even a rabbit if it liked. But she told me this story when my parents weren't around. Of course, I believed it was just a fairy tale told to scare children, although I wasn't really a child when she told me. At first I laughed and said no such thing exists, though I had this nagging feeling in the back of my mind, a curiosity you might say. So the following days after I was told this little fairy tale, I began to look it up. I soon stumbled upon the Skinwalker lore, and it matched the story I was told of a medicine man gone bad, turned to the dark side out of power and greed, and gifted the ability to change into any animal they desired. I laughed, even though it was something to do with my background and family. I mean, I'm a 34-year-old man, nothing could scare me, and it just sounded like some child's story. Now, due to my grandma's secretive tone and nature, as well as Wikipedia, I pretty much knew that these things were, well, considered bad luck to be talking about. Did that concern me? Not one bit. Maybe because I laughed, called it a joke, or the fact that the next time I saw my grandma and told her she was insane for believing in such a child's story, that I may have brought unwanted attention. You see, slowly over the months my horses got more and more spooked. Even my old Mustang boy, that was quiet as could be, would get nervous on our trail rides. He would stop and look wide-eyed off into the distance, or a bush. I kept telling myself it was just a snake or a coyote, but as time went on I started to think otherwise. Maybe there was really something there, something I couldn't see. Or perhaps it was just my mind overthinking, and eventually I just pushed it aside and figured it was just the horse being spooked over something. However, some nights I would wake hearing these odd animal-like howls outside, or the odd tap or two on the window. I blamed it on my mind overthinking, as was always, and probably playing tricks on me. Too many late nights sitting up watching TV. Then there came this one night. My wife had gone to see her sister, who lived at least 6 hours away. My wife had decided to stay over at her sister's, leaving me home alone. At first it was blissful. A nice summer's eve, horses all groomed and fed and a beer in hand. I faintly recall falling asleep watching TV. I'd only had a can of beer, so I know I wasn't drunk. But what woke me up was this eerie vibe. I don't know why, but I felt like there was something that had been watching me from outside my window. Either way, I got up thinking I should just go to bed, and when I was about to turn and head for the bedroom door, I heard my wife outside. It was this faint knock. The knocking was coming from outside at the main doorway. I heard her voice. She was asking me to open up the door because she had lost her keys. I laughed, saying, "Ha, you fool, you always lose those damn things. You really need a GPS to track them down, I swear." Amused with myself, I went to reach for the door handle, and when I did, all of a sudden my phone went off. I got a text from my wife. She said, "Hey hun, wish you were here. Sis says hi." I froze up. Why was my wife sending me a text if she was right outside? I then realized that what was outside could have been just a hallucination. So I shook it off and, well, turned away from the door and headed to the bedroom. Then, as if on cue, I hear soft knocking outside. Again, in my wife's tone, it calls out, "Please, honey, open the door." Her voice sounded so sweet, but I heard it. This odd tone that seemed so raspy. It didn't sit well. It wasn't her voice, I knew that. I wanted to believe that it was just the can of beer, or maybe my mind playing tricks on me. But then I heard the tapping at the window. The very window I swore I felt something had been watching me from outside. I regretted turning and looking. I saw it. No, him, to be more correct. Gold, glowing eyes, filled with nothing but hunger. Horrid, tattered fur, coated, cloaking over most of his dirty body. Immediately I realized what was out there as I heard its horrid cackling. I knew I shouldn't have looked. I knew I should never have joked about these things, but it was too late for me. I can't recall what happened next. I just remember waking up on the floor. I must have passed out at some point of time. Weeks, months, and years passed. This thing, this Skinwalker, once a week he would return to torment me. By dreams, nightmares. Things got bad around our house. Even my wife said that she didn't feel comfortable here anymore. She often got really bad nightmares. Sometimes she'd wake up in her own sweat. My wife and I are now getting a divorce. She couldn't stand living here anymore, and claims that I've changed. Me, well, I can't seem to move from this house. I don't want to go to an elder and ask for a blessing or a cleansing. Part of me thinks it's all just some bad luck and my mind getting the better of me. But the other part of me, well, it believes. I know what lurks in the dark. I suppose my grandma gave me her curse. She passed away shortly after telling me about the Skinwalkers. That was 3 years ago. So for those out there hunting these things, stop while you can. It may be the very end of you. Thank you all for listening to this story. If you have a creepy story you'd like to submit so that I can read it on this channel, you can send it to the email below in the description. This is my first video, so please let me know what you all thought, or if you too believe in the Skinwalker.